Welcome back to Full Circle, Florida. It is the tug of war these days between parents and politicians. Forrest Saunders this week on whether the book ban controversy in Florida is finally starting to cool off.
In the last year, school board meetings like this made national headlines.
Maybe we should close the libraries. Everything's on the internet anyway.
Adults trying to remove books from school libraries and classrooms, often pushing long lists like this.
89 that were objected to. Volusia County only had 2 removals. That was the worst in the state. It is very embarrassing.
The fight coming mainly from conservative political groups like Moms for Liberty. Members objecting to themes they found violent, lewd, or pornographic, while others pushed back.
You shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Nowadays, it seems more pertinent to say that you shouldn't judge a book by an excerpt.
Florida has become the epicenter of the book ban battle in the U.S. Last school year alone, the state says more than 1,200 objections resulted in nearly 400 book removals. It has Florida leading the nation, according to the First Amendment nonprofit PEN America. Over 40% of all book bans last year occurred in the Sunshine State's K-12 classrooms, according to their data.
Good morning.
Republicans like Florida's governor and the GOP-controlled legislature helped enable those book challenges. They crafted laws restricting public school instruction on gender and sexuality in grades K through 3, later expanding it through high school with some exceptions for health classes. Another law making it easier for parents or anyone to challenge a book in the first place. Supporters saying too much inappropriate material is reaching young minds.
Why would we have that in a media center with 10-year-old students? It's just wrong. And a lot of parents now have been empowered to make sure that these are appropriate environments.
Governor Ron DeSantis has repeatedly cited questionable content found in grades as early as elementary. As justification, his communications team pushed this video.
Another where a boy watches porn and asks.
Many of the books were focused on LGBTQ plus inclusivity, but the governor labeled them an attempt to indoctrinate over educate.
And they feel like they're sending their kids to a place that is waging war against their own basic values.
Those who feel the bans have gone too far say that graphic stuff is a very small portion of what's now getting questioned. Their focus has shifted to condemning what they see as overzealous censorship. In Escambia County, for example, which has had perhaps the highest number of challenges in the country, more than 200 books are currently getting reviewed. They include modern classics like Watchmen, American Gods, and The Handmaid's Tale.
They're fed up and tired of the culture wars.
State lawmaker Anna Escamani has been one of the most vocal critics of the book challenges, worried schools and education are getting weakened by what she sees as the injection of a conservative ideology. The Democrat thinks voters are sick of it.
Very hopeful that this year we'll see the demise of Moms for Liberty. We'll see election results that speak to what we've seen in other states already. And we can go back to public education being an apolitical and foundational purpose for all of us.
The issue has become a national one ahead of the 2024 election. Hundreds of books now getting challenged in states across the country as policies and concerns similar to Florida conservatives proliferate. The American Library Association sounded the alarm with this recent report saying 2023 brought the most book title challenges in its nearly 150-year history, a record 65% increase over 2022. The ALA also documented its top 10 challenged books of last year, most containing LGBTQ plus content. Topping the list, Gender Queer, a Memoir. Its author penned an op-ed in the Washington Post writing, quote, "Schools are banning my book, but queer kids need queer stories." Back in Florida, groups like the Florida Freedom to Read Project have sprung up to track the bans, regularly updating lists of books under threat.
I have a grandson who's, biracial, and it's wonderful. And, so this kind of a place to bring him would be awesome.
That's as bookstores start to push back, some featuring even specializing in titles taken off school shelves. Rohi's Readery in West Palm Beach is among them.
It's really sad that they're even being called banned books because we know the intention of these authors and illustrators is to create liberation.
Critics of these book bans even scored what they consider a recent win. Governor DeSantis signed a bill last month scaling back the scope of Florida's book bans, limiting challenges that non-parents can submit to just one a month. DeSantis, however, blames it on activists.
Because it's being done to create a narrative that somehow, oh my gosh, all these books are quote banned. No book is banned in Florida. The most grotesque pornographic books that are in schools that have been removed because they're not appropriate, you can go buy it at a bookstore.
Those comments mark the latest chapter in the book ban battle that continues to rage in Florida and across the nation.
Clay County Schools has removed a total of 231 books.
But how this will all end remains unwritten.
And Forrest joining me right now from Tallahassee. You know, Forrest, the state is facing this massive teacher shortage. Teachers are leaving Florida because of politics, because of a lack of teacher pay. And I'm just curious, is there any sense among Republicans who control essentially the entire state legislature there in Tallahassee that parents, voters care more about this teacher shortage than they do some book in a school library?
Yeah, I think what you're going to hear from Republicans if you ask them about this teacher pay issue is they're going to point to the billions of dollars that they've invested over the last 6 years, $4 billion specifically, and then they've got another $200 million that they've appropriated in this upcoming budget pending the governor's signature. So they're going to say that they did a lot. And if you look at teacher pay, at least starting teacher pay, according to the National Education Association, Florida is ranked 16th in the nation for starting wages. Now, the Florida Education Association, our largest teachers union, they're going to rebuff that, and they're going to say, hey, average teacher salaries are among the lowest in the country, ranked 50th, according to that very same study. And they say that, you know, teachers that are starting versus teachers who are veterans, there should be a pay gap between them. Those who have been around for a while deserve to make more money. That is some of the things that they're going to say. They're also going to mention the voucher program. They're going to say that you're giving billions for vouchers that might go to private schools, and you're not doing enough to fund our public schools. In fact, some public schools might have to close because of the success of this voucher program. So really, no matter where you look at this issue, whatever side you're on, the other side's going to say you're wrong. And maybe that's just politics.
There you go. Well, meanwhile, speaking of politics, the Trump verdict sending ripple effects throughout the political world. What has been the response from Governor DeSantis, and how could this impact him a little bit down the road?
What Governor DeSantis put out with a statement on social media site X, formerly known as Twitter, was a lot of the same rhetoric that we've seen from Republicans, whether they're in Congress here in Florida or whether they're national icons and figures, which is they continue to say that this was a sham, politically motivated trial, and they are condemning it, and they're kind of pushing things back for Trump in this sense of a rally around the flag effect to try and unite the party behind him, and that's what we've seen from him on social media, but we haven't seen him come out and make any vocal statements. He hasn't gotten in front of a camera yet, and we're not expecting to see that anytime soon, at least until his next press conference. So you can question whether or not that means there is still this chilling between the two, or if maybe they are mending some bridges for the good of the party ahead of 2024.
And only 5 months left to go. Forrest Saunders joining us from Tallahassee. Forrest, thank you. Full Circle Florida continues right after this.